Welcome to the 5th episode of the Beyond the Classroom series. In this episode, I spoke with Olayinka Atobiloye. Yinka is a 4th-year computer engineering student at the University of Lagos. She has interned as a summer analyst at Goldman Sachs twice. She works as an admission specialist on the Major League Hacking Fellowship team. Furthermore, she's a GitHub Campus Expert at the University of Lagos, and her work within the community is well documented. Enjoy the episode. Thank you for coming, Yinka. How are you doing?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How are you doing?
Not bad. I'm good. So I see a lot of people within this ecosystem, and they have this I started out when I was 7. I was already writing X and Y code when I was 7. What's like your pre-university backstory?
So unfortunately, I didn't start when I was 7. I wish I had. But yeah, when I was in secondary school, I used to be like someone who used the internet a lot. So like whenever I had assignments, I had coursework, I had anything I just wanted to know really, I used to go on Google. I used to be so obsessed with Nairaland. I think I said this a lot. Like I used to use Nairaland a lot, and then I was actually just so interested about like how does this actually work behind this and what drives it, because the internet is amazing if you think of it. So then that was how I got to know about coding, about programming, and then
that was before the university.
That was still when I was in secondary school.
Right.
So and then I started researching about it, and then I got to know about computer science, and I did want to study computer science at a point. But then I think like I just started like going on Nairaland forums again, and then I think I saw a post where someone was saying that in Nigeria you don't want to study computer science because it's not very professional. It was a bad advice.
I think so. I really think so.
I've realized that now. But then they were like, computer engineering is more professional, you get more opportunities. And that was why I decided to study.
So fair to say, like, your expectations has been like, when you look about what you've done in computer engineering, how you see it has been like vis-a-vis the expectation?
Honestly, okay, this is a very tricky question, but I think that it depends. I think that for me, I think I'm more interested in like sort of the coding part. So I think I might say that I've not had as many exposure to that like from the course itself. But I think at the same time, like if I were more interested in like I don't know, maybe the hardware part of it, then maybe like I would say that what I'm learning has been more useful. But I don't think it is really bad really, because I think like we do get to learn like how behind the scenes, like when you are doing stuff on your computer, how is
what
it
happens
actually working,
under the hood and all.
Transistors like LSD. So it's exciting really, and I think that it is. Exams aside, like we're just studying for the fun of it.
That would have been fun.
Right? So I don't think it's that bad, but we've not actually learned a lot of the stuff that we do need for interviews and stuff. But I don't think it's been that bad. I actually have enjoyed like some of the courses. I've really enjoyed all of the coding courses. I'm sure you have.
I have actually. That's interesting. So you mentioned the things we learn in class is not exactly what you use in interviews. And you've gone through that phase. So what was that learning phase for, like you actually preparing for things that you use in the real world? What's that learning phase been like?
Okay. So also
early on.
Yeah, just to mention, like what you use in interview and what you use in real world are also different.
Really? Wow.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But like when during interviews, like you have to like learn some DSA. I'm sure you know that you DSA, but like on the reach of what you actually do need is frameworks to actually solve problems and stuff. Which in a way is not so completely far off from what we do in interviews, but I don't think they are 100% aligned.
What was that learning like? Like learning DSA early on, especially like when you started, like, we talked about you, Nairaland. Now you're in school. Like, how did you start learning coding? Like, how did that start?
So
what language did you start with?
Coding, I started with ECX. So probably know ECX, that's Engineering Career Expo. So I remember when I was in year 1, they used to have, they still have classes, physical classes. So I registered. I came with my friend for one of the classes, and I remember that I actually came, and I didn't come again in this class because I came quite late. I came the 3rd week, so they already like had the ID set up. Everyone was already on board.
What's happening?
Yes, I came for the Python class, and I just started hearing Anaconda. Like, oh my
what's
God,
happening?
It was that. So I was just so confused, and I didn't know what was going on. I was just so disheartened, and then I stopped going.
Right.
That was in year one, and then year two. I don't know, year two. I just started. I mean, like even like that's like a very bubbly coding.
If you're not doing
scene.
like a missing out on something big, yeah.
Right, yeah. So I think everywhere I turned, everyone was coding. I had like a lot of friends
Right.
who included that were coding, and then I just started again, like on my own at my home pace.
Right,
no,
right.
no classes.
So I think for me, I can speak on my own personal experience. Yeah, like early on, I was in this, I'll say loop, right? I was just taking courses. Did you have that loop where you're just taking courses? Because I feel like in general, it has to be take courses for like fundamentals, then start building projects like to become better. Did you have any phase where you're just taking courses, or like you were, I took a few courses and then now you're doing projects?
Yeah, so I think I cannot speak of that without sort of talking about like how I've sort of changed
Right.
career paths within tech. Because when I started, I started with Python.
Right.
Then I started data science.
Interesting.
And I think that then I wanted to. I was watching a lot of videos. Really, I was watching a lot of tutorials, and I actually never got to actually like implement like what I was actually learning.
Just drip down his book.
Yeah, I was really confused. I was even like, how is this thing actually useful?
Your career. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I really
so
get that.
That was why I
Just on
stopped.
drip down his book, like
Yes,
what's happening,
right.
like
And then you just keep
you test your
doing
model, it's
empty
good.
dots,
What's
you
happening
don't
here?
even know, like I was like, how is this really useful? So yeah, that's why I stopped then. I stopped data science and I went into software engineering. And I think I've enjoyed that because I think I'm someone who really enjoys like actually implementing, actually seeing in real time like what I'm
Like,
actually doing.
impacting lives even.
Yeah,
Right, that makes sense actually. So you didn't consider any other path, perhaps UI UX, front end, like did you?
No, I don't. I'm not even good at UI UX.
Right.
I just knew I wouldn't be good at it.
Fair enough. So let's talk about Goldman Sachs for a minute, right? Your opportunity to intern at Goldman Sachs. So what's it like interning at one of the biggest investment banks in the world?
That's a good question.
What's it like?
I think that experience was sort of eye opening for me.
Right.
Because I think like when we are in uni and really all our lives, we are always told that you need to be good. Like you need to be good at what you're doing. You need to be technically good.
Right.
When you get started, like you do tutorials, just learn to be technically good. But being in such a space, I mean, like you mentioned, is a bank, so like everyone is so big on aside the technical part, because obviously you have to be good at your work. Everyone is so big on sort of like the soft skills part of it, like how you actually relate, how you actually communicate to your the stakeholders, your manager, and your people, higher ups in your team, really. So I think like for me, it was like sort of like a shift from the culture of I need to be good, I need to be good at my work, and really
You have
that's
to
all
be good,
you
and then you
need.
also have soft skills as well.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not one or the other; it has to be
Yeah,
both.
exactly.
Wow.
So I had to learn because even in my feedback,
Right.
because I actually went twice.
Right.
So the first time around, a lot of my feedback I used to get, that's like talk more with the team, communicate more and
Right.
stuff. So yeah, I think I had to learn that. So it was sort of like a learning experience to like how do you, and I don't think it's just bank alone.
Yeah.
But like the corporate world.
Did you have any experience before Goldman Sachs? Perhaps a startup here, a mini projects?
Yeah, I did that.
And how would you like compare the experience from that with Goldman Sachs? I mean, obviously, Goldman is Goldman Sachs, so like
yeah, it's
some of
very
the
different,
culture,
right?
yeah?
'Cause, yeah, I worked with like a startup before, and really just do your work. Really,
And just go.
really just do your work. And I was working remotely, so it
Okay.
was not as established as like a big company
Right.
like that, where like everywhere is how you know what to do. You know
Right.
who is for this. You know who is for that. Everything is very well established.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. What's the application process like for Goldman Sachs?
Yeah. So for Goldman, you need to usually open the application. I think around June, July, August, summertime, basically.
Right.
Then you apply. You have to write some cover letters.
Okay.
Cover letter. I think just one. Then you need to also submit your CV.
Right.
You need to fill the form, just some basic personal
right.
details and educational details.
Yeah.
And then you submit that. They review. Then you get called for an Akarank. So basically,
What's that like?
yeah, Akarank is a platform where you answer something called data structure and algorithm questions.
Okay.
So yeah, they usually give like two DSA questions,
Right.
a couple of math questions as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So you usually have like 2-3 hours to do that.
Because before you get to that point, you must be really, really good at data structures and algorithm. I mean, be decent good.
Yeah, I think so.
Right.
Yeah. You should have
Okay,
some
yeah.
basic ideas, so you
Right.
be able to do that. Yeah, and then after that, they review your submission, and then if it's up to par, you get called for something called an IRV interview.
Okay.
So IRV is just basically like a video interview,
Right.
but instead of having like an interviewer on the other side of the
Right.
screen, there will be no interviewer.
So it's not live.
Yeah, it's not like
It's like recorded.
yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So you see the question on the screen, and then you basically answer. It's recorded. But at the end of the day, it's actually like someone from HR, it's a human being that will actually
So you like go through the
go
video,
through
right?
it, but they are not there.
Wow.
So which can be very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, yeah,
really,
actually, yeah. Just a couple of seconds and like that's it.
Exactly.
You don't get any feedback from the person you're looking
Yeah,
at.
exactly, right. And people, I think people tend to think that it would probably be easier because like no one is.
Nah, I don't think it's really. I don't think it's really. I mean, you're still speaking with someone, and at the end of the
Yes,
like this one,
right.
you're just talking.
Yeah. So yeah, and then after that, you get something called the super day interview,
Okay.
which is the final stage. So it's split into two actually. I think
Right.
it's like either 30 minutes each
Right.
or 1 hour each. It depends. And then you get to speak with like two engineers
Right.
in each round. Two engineers.
How's that like? As a student speaking to like established engineers at Goldman Sachs.
I think actually that these people have actually been like trained on
Right.
how to interview, so they know that they try to get down to your level
Okay,
because
okay.
they have the expectations. So
Right,
they are
yeah.
coming in as as a student, you're either coming in as an intern or a new grad, so
Right.
they don't expect so much
Much
from
from you, right? That's nice actually. Would you say this application process like? Would you say it's beginner friendly?
They're very beginner friendly. Yes, you just need to be willing to put in the work.
Right,
Yeah.
right. That's nice actually. Another thing you've done it's the Major League Hacking fellowship, and for some context, and I think you should add the context. Tell me about the MLH fellowship.
Okay, so MLH fellowship is basically it's like a third party internship. So third party in the sense that like when you want to work at somewhere like Goldman Sachs,
Yeah.
for example, you just apply to Goldman Sachs and Goldman Sachs employs you.
Right.
But in the case of MLH actually you apply through MLH. So
Okay.
MLH interviews you,
Right.
MLH employs you,
Okay.
but you actually get paid with a company. So you get to work with like a company like Meta. So it's like
Interesting.
you're like a third party
I feel you, yeah.
firm in a way. So you get to work with like a company like in my case I worked with GitHub. Yeah, so yeah, and it's really cool because like I mean imagine if you wanted to apply to GitHub like
That would
outside
be
of
lots.
it would be, and with MLH it's a really simple process.
What's the process like?
Yes, you apply, you
Right.
submit like I think 2 or 3 essays.
Okay.
So yeah, you need
It's like
to,
you must be really good with essays. Though.
yeah. You need to, but the thing is that they're actually not about like your fancy use of English.
Right.
Or they just want you to write like good essays. They want
Central
to hear
idea.
your story. Yeah,
Okay,
they want
right.
to hear like how passionate you are about
Right.
software engineering or whichever track you're applying for. Right. Yeah. So you submit like 3 essays, your details, academic details, and all of that. Then after that, you get called for a first interview, a video screen.
Okay.
But that was actually very short. They just want to know whether you are eligible
Okay.
because not all countries can apply.
Right.
Yes, and then
Is there like an age limit as well?
there's
Right.
an age limit as well, and they also want to know that you can communicate in English.
Okay.
Yeah, so for some people are not living English speaking.
I reckon they have this thing about having a setup, like a VR setup where you can actually have meetings
Yeah.
as well. Then after, so basically you apply with essays, then you have that. Is there any other stage afterwards?
Yeah, and then the last stage is the technical screen. Because actually, when you are applying with your essays, they also ask you for the code sample.
Okay.
Yeah, then in that last round, that's when they will now go over your code sample to.
So at least explaining this.
Exactly. Yeah,
Oh,
like
it's a bit different from Goldman Sachs. Unlike actually you doing data structure and algorithm, you're just explaining your own projects,
exactly, Yeah. So
And then I
which
work in
is good
GitHub.
part. Yeah.
right? That's nice
Yes,
actually.
you can.
That's really nice. Because my understanding of MLH fellowship in general is they allow you work on open source projects
Yeah.
while you're still a student. And like my understanding of open source projects is like now I'm working on code that actually like if I was to build a random project, I'll probably share with my couple of my friends, maybe 10 users at most. But I feel like when you're designing something for millions, the way you think is a bit different.
Yeah,
Right, so
exactly.
that's really nice. That's really
Yeah,
nice.
exactly.
So as a fellow, is there been any, as a fellow, what was like particular, let's say, less of the experience that like you really held on to?
I learned a lot actually, but I think like honestly, I'm still going to go back to what I mentioned earlier about like the soft skills. I think what I've learned it's more like of the fact that like you even like when you are new or
Right.
when you are like somewhere like low in the ranks, I guess,
Right.
like an intern for
Entry
example,
level and
because
all
you are
that.
literally like an intern. As a fellow is just like an intern in
Okay.
a way. You do not need to feel small. I think like it's always good to speak up. It's always good to like feel like a part of the team, because I think like that opens up your creativity. Like that
Okay.
makes you contribute a
All
lot.
right. You
Yeah,
think
so.
that has something to do with like your team members as well? I feel like if they are quite welcoming, you get to be like a bit more
Yeah,
expressive.
yeah, exactly.
Fair, fair, fair. So now you're a fellow, you work with GitHub, and now you're not like an admission specialist with MLH, right?
Yeah.
All right, right. That must be interesting. So tell me about that. How's that been?
Yeah, it's been great, really. I think for me,
Yeah.
being at the other side, I haven't been actually at the
Right.
other side, like as a fellow, and then you keep getting these emails of like the stages, but not actually knowing what is happening behind the
Okay.
scene, like
Right.
how is my application getting progressed, and then you have other people as well, like your friends that are applying, and if they are not getting, and then but like you are not really certain what is going on.
Right. Yeah.
So I think like that's actually sort of give me another perspective into
Okay.
like what is actually going on, what are they looking for,
Right.
and also it's honestly really fun. Like I really enjoy the process, because I think like especially the essays, because when you are reading people's essays, I think like it's just like a very good way to learn more about people. I've chosen to
Yeah.
learn more about and people's stories, and it's really nice. And also the code samples, you see some projects are like, how did you think of this project idea? Yeah, so yeah, it's
That's really nice, actually. Let's say Salim wants to apply to MLH now, right?
yeah.
What's the advice you're going to give Salim based on your experience as an admission specialist?
Yeah, I think first thing, like I mentioned, your essay, you don't need big English, you don't
Okay,
need
just tone
to
it down.
yeah, you just need to like tell your story. You need
Right.
to be good at telling your story. So tell your story in a way that is compelling.
Right.
Why are you interested in software engineering? Why are you interested in English? Please don't use ChatGPT.
Ah.
Because you will be
Okay.
surprised
Yeah.
at the number of ChatGPT applications that you get to see on a day-to-day basis, really. And it's so glaring, it's so obvious.
So I think once you read some words you say, this is a ChatGPT word, you just know it.
Exactly
right?
right. So yeah. So just say yours. Honestly, we are not even looking for big English. Just tell
Your story and make it as genuine as possible.
Yes, exactly.
Makes a lot of sense.
And then your code sample as well.
Right.
That's very important. You need to ensure that like the code that you are submitting is a big enough project. I don't mean like big, but at least
I can submit
let them
TikTok
be.
too.
Yeah, it shouldn't just be boilerplate.
Right,
You can
okay.
even submit TikTok too,
Wow.
actually, yes.
That's
But it
nice.
shouldn't be like you use one TikTok to library.
Yeah, then you just
and then you just
right,
you just don't
right,
know.
right.
You need to let your code be substantial
Right.
enough and well organized,
Okay.
well documented.
Okay.
And, yeah, so
That makes a lot of sense. So we've spoken about Goldman Sachs, we've spoken about MLH, GitHub. So like that's the technical part about Yinka's life, right? So the part I've gotten to like even experience even more is our community work, right? So you're a GitHub Campus Expert, and again I've had the opportunity to work with you. We've done feels like 3 events now.
yeah.
I think the one that like takes the cherry for me is the Dev Sprints.
Yeah, that's my favorite.
That was no, I really enjoyed that. Like
I think
it's why because like
was favorite.
first of its kind, like students organizing algorithm competitions for students, like that was really amazing. So talk to me about the entire experience as a GitHub Campus Expert. Let's start from the application process.
Building a world where everyone is empowered to take care of their mental health is a key to a sustainable future. The Beyond the Classroom series is proudly sponsored by Sound as a Bell Initiative, advocating for open conversations and more awareness on mental health issues.
Also, be sure to follow the Sound as a Bell Initiative on all social media platforms, including Twitter, LinkedIn, and of course Instagram.
GitHub Campus Expert. I actually heard of it through a friend.
Anthony, yeah?
I think it was the first.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Like
At the point, I honestly thought it was just one per school.
I thought because the name seems so.
And like it wasn't so. I mean, on like say like things like Microsoft Launch Ambassadors, like you find more people doing that, right?
Yeah.
Like GitHub Campus Expert. I think
Yeah,
I was
they're
on
very
GitHub
selective.
randomly, like GitHub Education randomly, and
Yeah.
I just came up. This is a thing.
Yeah.
I think it was on Anthony's profile. Like this is a
Yeah.
thing. Then I looked it up. Oh wow. Then I'm like, okay, yeah, Anthony picks Unilux clause. Let's just move on, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going on.
Yeah, and I think I also asked Anthony as well then,
Right.
and he was like, "Oh, it's one past school." I don't know why I actually applied. I'm just like, let me still apply.
That's betting on yourself,
right?
right?
And then I didn't even know that. Oh, it's man. And the name too. Like I was saying, like the name sounds like it's just one past
person,
school,
yeah,
right?
right.
Yeah. But the application process, you submit essays.
Right.
Yeah,
Essays again.
People would be so tired of
Right.
hearing that, but like I mentioned, it's really the same thing. They are not looking for big English.
Right.
You just need to talk about like the community that you are building or that you want to build.
Yeah.
Like, how exactly is the community useful? So it has to be like a unique community. There has to be like a pain point that you're trying to address.
Right.
So you cannot just say you are building a community for people to learn technical skills. Okay, but like why exactly do you want people to learn technical skills? What are other communities that exist? What have they not been able to do that you want to do?
Right.
So,
I feel like the way I explain to people is mostly is you have to describe your community, and when you're describing, you have to make okay, this is the need we have, and then now you know what the program is about. Now you're like bridging two of them together. Okay, when I become a campus expert, I can feel the need of this community.
Exactly, yeah,
Right,
the
right.
need of the community, so the different
Right,
points,
right.
exactly.
Right.
So yeah, they are looking for that. So you need to be able to sell your community.
Yeah.
And also like add statistics as well. Because
Right.
I think like although they are cool with like a community that has not been established,
Right.
I think it will give you some leverage. If, like you have done a little bit of work
Right.
before applying.
Okay,
That, oh,
yeah,
this is what I've been able to do so far
Right.
without GitHub support. But if I got GitHub support, I will be able to do more.
More than that
Yeah,
makes a lot of
so-
sense. And I reckon that this kind of roles can be really demanding. Community work in general, like speaking, organizing events. Like when an event comes out, like there's like 6 weeks before where it's like ethic planning,
Yeah.
meetings and all that. How does that work? Like, does that get exhausting? Do you enjoy that?
Oh, it gets us.
Right.
Especially when you think about the sponsorship aspect of it.
That's
I'm
always an
sure
issue,
you're
yeah.
aware,
Yeah.
yes, honestly, because I mean the other part of it is something that you could. I mean, because we actually always have people on the team that are also very passionate about
Right.
it. So it's something that is within your control.
Right.
I mean, it is stressful, but it is within
Yeah,
your
fair
control.
enough,
But
yeah.
when it gets to the sponsorship part,
Can't control that.
exactly,
It's money. Right.
So yeah, but I think like I mentioned, you just need to have people that are actually very passionate about what you are doing. I think
Right.
you can testify
Yeah,
to that.
yeah. So that,
Yeah,
there's a huge difference when like when you just have team members that are really passionate about what you're doing,
yeah,
like it's just so much easier.
exactly.
Right,
Like you
so-
don't have to be dragging everyone to do their work.
Fair. I think one other thing is when I was applying, I touched on, I think in my application, I talked about it actually, the male-female ratio in tech, and there are women in tech and are doing amazingly well. Talk to me, what are challenges that comes with being a woman in tech, and how do you try to like overcome that? The bias and all.
I think for me, I think I would say like I've been incredibly lucky in the sense that I've gotten to like with the people that I've met,
Right.
men, male and female,
Right.
they've actually been very supportive of my journey.
Right,
So
yeah.
like I've had like a lot of male friends,
Right.
you included, like who have been like,
Yeah.
completely supportive. But I think the only thing though is like the lack of representation.
Right, yeah.
But I think because I mean before I even went,
Right.
like people talk about there are many women only opportunities, there are many female only opportunity. I
Right.
think like then there must be like a lot. But
Right.
then when I went to my first internship and then like on my floor, my team is about 20 plus people. And I
Right.
think we had just two
No
female.
way.
Yeah, I'm not kidding.
Two.
Like I was so surprised. It was like a shock to me. But I was
Two.
expecting and two and one is only one was a full time employee and then one was like an apprentice.
Wow.
Yes. So it was.
So 20 plus.
Yes, I'm not kidding. 20 plus. So yeah, I think that it's just and I mean there's something like comforting just like having more female
Female, yeah,
on the
yeah,
team, like having people that
I think that's why
look
it's
like
also quite important. People like you tell your story, so like the random girl out there can know, okay, Inka can do this. I can actually do this because
Yeah.
when I'm represented now, it's like, can I actually do this? I don't see someone like me doing this. You get what I'm saying? I think it's
Yeah.
very important. People like you actually tell your stories to like inspire more people to come in. So also on I like to touch on mental health. I'm quite passionate about sort of mental health, yeah. And first of all, I think it's a very common thing in tech because the tech ecosystem is really fast paced. If you
Yeah.
stop learning, you're done.
Yeah.
Like you have to keep learning. And with that kind of setup, imposter syndrome is a very, very common thing. Try your entire journey from that girl that used to be on Nairaland to who you are right now. Yeah. Has there been any point where you be like, okay, like this imposter syndrome, and how have you been able to like challenge that? How has that been in general?
I think I face imposter syndrome every day.
Till now?
Every day.
No
but I
way.
think like it all depends on how you face it. I think like I actually do not think it depends on how severe it is.
Right.
I do not think questioning yourself is such a bad thing. I think like the moment you stop questioning yourself, that's the moment you actually stop trying to make yourself better. So I think it's a good thing to like question yourself and like doubt yourself, not doubt,
Okay.
like just question yourself a little and you know.
I keep feeling check, sort of.
Exactly, like it makes you like want to do more.
Want
Like
more,
you don't
yeah.
want. I don't think it's necessarily a good thing to always feel like, oh, I'm
Doing
good
well,
all the time.
right,
like,
right,
you want
right.
to. But yeah, I don't think
It's that thing with growth happening outside the comfort zone. Like
Exactly.
it's like you're not in your comfort, like you're kind of like pushing yourself out. Like,
yeah,
that makes sense.
exactly. So I think like just like sometimes like when you feel I think luckily for me I've not felt something like so severe because I've spoken to people who
Right.
like have had very severe cases.
You're one year. Right.
So I do not want to like sort of like undermine what they are
Right.
going through. It's like sort of like the kind.
But then you
that
don't
I
really
go
add
through.
like you reckon like you like it when you have that feeling.
Yeah,
Like you're welcoming to them that way.
honestly depends because there are some times when it comes to like sort of like a feeling of anxiety
Okay.
that is not good.
Okay, yeah,
That
fair,
is
fair,
not
fair,
good.
fair, fair.
So in those cases, honestly, I just take a step back. Really, I just take a step back. Like you don't need to be.
And you go back to
coding all
drawing
the time.
board,
You need
right?
to- yeah. So
Right,
you
I
just
like-
take a step back.
I like the fact that you talk about not coding every time. So we talk about your technical abilities. I like obviously to get to that level, it takes a lot of time, right? And then in the community as well, you do so much in the community. How does Yinka do self care? Like, what do you do for fun? What are your hobbies? When you're not coding, what do you do?
I watch movies a lot.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to your
really will.
Twitter this
Yeah.
morning and
Yeah.
it was either talking about tech or just quoting Netflix. We are looking for things like borderline this one. Whatever it's you're just like so yeah.
Yeah, I love movies. I love watching
Oh, Taylor
movies.
Swift,
I love movies. I love thank you. I love music a lot.
Right,
I
right.
sometimes I just listen. I am just on my bed. I'm just on Spotify.
Right.
I'm just reading the lyrics. Like,
Right.
Grace can testify. I'm just reading the lyrics
Right.
of the song. I like just doing nothing. Just with my laptop. I'm just reading the lyrics. Staring at the laptop.
then-
I'm just reading the lyrics and singing along.
That's nice
So
actually.
yeah, I think like it's important to do those things as well, especially because I mean, as students and you're coding and all, it
Right.
can get crazy.
Yeah, about students. So I've talked about the technical part of Yinka's life, talked about community work, talked about self-care. How do you still do all that and then you still have to be a student and a very good student at that? Like how do you juggle all that together? Don't say God though.
I was going to say God. I think it's actually important to say God.
Yeah,
because
it is,
I
yeah,
think I've been lucky in some parts, but I also think that one thing that really helps me is I think like I genuinely enjoy most of the things that I do.
Okay.
So I think like for a lot of people who are students, like I mean a lot of my friends really.
Right.
I shouldn't generalize. I think like people are just like exhausted. in
Yeah,
school.
yeah. It's been a
So-
while.
And I know like when you're exhausted, like it tends to get like you
It's not
the
like,
energy like
Is that
it's
thing
not
I have to
even there.
do? I don't. I
Exactly
just have to
right.
do. It's
So-
like
And when you feel like you just want to do something and get over it, you don't tend to do it well or you
they
don't
even
tend
enjoy
to
it,
put your-
right?
And I think like also like one thing that we face is like in Unilag with lecturers. What you put is not what you get.
Right,
kind of
right,
thing.
right. That can be really frustrating.
Yeah, so I think like that is the reason why a lot of people like with school
Right.
it's not as encouraging. But yeah, I think like for me, I've actually just really enjoyed like learning. I actually
Right.
do sincerely.
Do we learn?
But,
Okay,
yeah,
okay, okay.
yeah, without the exam part,
Okay,
like
right,
without
right,
exam
right, okay, yeah,
anxiety, I really do.
Yeah.
But also at the same time I like to prioritize in
Okay.
a way. It depends on what I'm doing at that point. So like during the beginning of the semester I tend to like try to do a lot of coding stuff,
Okay.
a lot of non-school stuff,
Right.
let me say. So that but then also at the same time I also still try to read.
Just like list
yeah,
stuff.
so as not to get overwhelmed.
Towards the
during
end, that was just
period.
too much.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I try to prioritize like coding stuff during that time, and then when it's time for close to
So
exam,
now you just prioritize school other points.
So yeah, and I think like also going back to the point about just making sure you read throughout the semester,
Right.
because I think that is what some people
That little drops of water makes it nice,
yeah,
like just
exactly.
little,
So
because you don't want to start towards the end now. You're just exhausted, like
exactly, yes.
it's going to be overwhelming. That's
Yeah.
it. Right. Throughout the course of your journey, because we've talked about GitHub, Goldman Sachs, were there any L's, any companies? I imagine there were lots. Can you talk about the L's?
The L's.
Yeah, like the unfortunately we cannot. Those ones.
Yeah, there have been a lot of them. I don't think you could have Wiz without L's. I think
Fair.
For the I should talk about like the company.
Just talk about the
like,
experience in general. I mean, as much as you're willing to.
Yeah. So it can be. Before we even talk about the L's,
Right.
let's even talk about the Wiz. The
Okay.
process of getting the Wiz.
Right.
Because even when you are there and then you are going through the interview process, it can be nerve-wracking, like checking your
So just imagine, even like doing the process. Imagine now, I'm nervous about this thing, right? About Goldman Sachs, and now the interview, there's nobody there now.
like you can be, and then you have to keep checking your email, keep checking your.
And then your friend has gotten in. Now you're thinking,
exactly right. Especially when you have friends in the process. Yes.
Have you gotten? So all of that,
I just got the email. Have you seen it?
Yeah, that can be. What's happening?
What's going on?
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it can be, but I think like for me, and I think like I something that people tend to say is like some loses like is like a stepping stone, like you learn, but not really.
I think at the end of the day, kind of adds up though.
Some of them just have to happen. No lesson.
The character development.
Exactly.
Right.
But I think I don't know. I think like it sort of fortifies you in a way. Like it makes you like stronger. It makes you like stronger.
You guys dropping quotes, you guys.
No.
Okay.
Well, honestly, it makes you stronger in a way. I don't even want to say embrace failure because people can people see me on the street. But yeah, I think like I think like for me, I've always just tried to learn from it as much as I could.
Right.
Typically I have like this Notion board, so I put like list of all companies that.
Notion girl too. I don't like Notion.
No, why?
I just don't know. I just don't resonate with it.
Really, I like Notion a lot. It just helps me.
Right.
It just helps me organize my thoughts. I really like Notion, but yeah.
I think at this point, my beef with Notion is now I've talked about it in a bad light so much that I'm a bit ashamed to go back to it now. Like at this point, like that was now go back to my word. Like I thought you said I don't want to have all that.
I won't judge you. You just
consider it.
Right. Just right. But yeah, I use Notion a lot. After every stage, not even every I just put like notes like wow.
Just keep track.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah, just try to keep track.
Like you also like you want to make sure like you're in track with the feedback as well. Okay, exactly. I think X and Y interview I should have done this better.
Yes, exactly.
Right,
yes. It's just good to go back. So I don't think like I mean maybe not instantly you get the email.
Don't worry. I think mentally you're not prepared for that yet.
Yeah, exactly. So it's always good to go back. So I do that all the time. I have the Notion board. I want to say it.
Right.
But yeah, I have the Notion board. I put like everything, like every stage, and sometimes I just open it even without like necessarily having an application process. I just go through it just to remind myself.
All right. So one thing I'd like to touch on, and we're getting towards the end here, right? If we could go back to that pre-university in car, like just talk about a year one in car. Let's go with that, right? Is there anything across the entirety of a journey that I feel like, okay, if I could go back with the knowledge I have now, I should have done better?
That's a good question.
I think, with me, for instance, now, I was in that courses loop. Like, I was just taking courses. Like, that, there will always be courses. Like I can, if I want to take courses now, from now to, like, next year, keep taking courses, like, ultimately, I don't think that actually makes you don't really get better from courses. Like, for the fundamentals, yeah, I could take a couple of courses, but, like, to have that growth, like, I think you actually need to, like, face projects head on. Yeah. I think that's, like, big mistake I made with me. So, what do you think is just?
Yeah, I agree with what you said.
Right.
But yeah, I think like what you said just sort of reminded me of like something that I did. I think like when I started, I felt like I needed to be good at everything.
Yeah.
I felt like I needed to be good at this framework, good at that.
That loop is crazy.
Yeah.
Because there's always a new one.
Exactly. Like you never get to 100%. And I think like I even used to see like
so on Twitter, for instance, when you say random tweets, oh, what's this new thing again? And now let me learn this one. You just been that crazy loop, yeah?
Yeah, and especially with like software, maybe because that is the part I mean.
Right.
Like every new time you see see this framework that it helps, it makes your animation better.
Right.
Oh, tomorrow you see one that it helps your images, it helps them load faster.
Right.
Oh, this one does server side rendering. It
Right.
helps, like there's a lot to learn. But yeah, I think like one thing I would say I would just try to do differently is that I would take more chances on me. I think like I actually never applied for like any like sort of like startup internship, like
Okay.
yeah, like in Nigeria. Like I speak to a lot of my friends that they have actually done it, and I think it was like a good learning experience for them.
Right.
So I think like that's something that I would have done.
So like, if you could have done that,
like,
that would be before Goldman Sachs, right?
yeah, before.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. Right.
So yeah, I think like you don't need to be, because that was what I felt like. I
Right.
felt like I needed to be really good, I needed
Okay.
to be very excellent. And even though I used to see tweets where people said, oh, could email people.
Right.
I never did that. So like, I felt like, oh, I don't even have anything much.
And
I don't
that
have-
feel like like you're probably thinking, what's the person like, what's this one doing? You don't want
Yeah.
to have that kind of like judgment on you by
Exactly.
the person on the other
Yeah,
end. Right.
yeah,
That makes a lot of sense.
Exactly.
Oh, thank you very much, Inka. But like one last thing I want to touch on is, and I like this question:
Mhm.
AI. Do you think they replace humans or not? No way. I don't like your silence.
I'm trying to be careful,
Right.
because I think it depends on the field, really.
Okay.
I think when it comes to, so just back to what I do, when it comes to software engineering,
Right.
I think that just from you saw this new what's the name, this new tool
Devin.
that- yes,
Devin, yeah?
basically.
Yeah.
I saw it and I was just mind blown. I was completely
Right.
mind blown. But I think like at the end of the day, you still need humans to be like in charge of, I mean, for example, like a lot of problems that you actually do face,
Right.
even from my own experience, even
Yeah.
as an intern, they don't tell you do this. Like they just tell you like a problem that you're trying to solve.
Okay.
And they tell like you sort of figure out how to go about it.
Right.
And I do not think that
AI can get to your
AI
level.
can exactly,
Mm,
maybe in the future,
okay.
but like right now, and even if they do,
Right.
give you like something to start off with, I
Right.
don't think it can be like as fine tuned as
So I think
having
just
Yeah,
like
go on.
your essays, the ChatGPT essays, and when I write my essays,
exactly
Right,
right.
yeah.
Like it's just different. Like
Right.
especially when you want to consider, the user feedback loop and all
Right.
of that. So I think that
AI engineers will take this personally. Not that they can work on something that would right.
Just leave it the way it is right now. Please don't take our jobs.
right.
But yeah, I think like we might get to a point where maybe they will hire less.
Right. I think so. I really think so.
Yeah, maybe they would hire less.
I think so much such that what will actually happen is those that evolve with it will get jobs. Like let me put it this way: those that don't evolve be out of jobs.
Exactly.
Right. So I think it's the onus is on each and every one of us to actually just evolve with AI and like keep
Yeah.
moving with the trend,
Yeah.
such that we don't become
Exactly.
obsolete.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Inka. This has been so much. Like genuinely, I've had so much fun, and I've learned so much from like this conversation with you. Yeah.
Oh,
Thank you very much for coming on board.
No
Yeah.
worries. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.